Welcome back, everybody. Here we go. Today we are going to look at two types of angles in our geometry unit, and they are called complementary and supplementary angles. Complementary and supplementary angles. You can see right here that we're talking about complementary angles are angles that add up to 90 degrees. Here's an example. If you take 52 plus 38, you will definitely get 90. It's angles that add up to be 90 degrees, complementary. All right, we're going to take a look at a couple practice problems with that. Here's one to start with. As you can see right here, we do have a 90-degree mark, so I do know that these are complementary angles. So I'm going to write that down as complementary. As you can see, these two angles here are complementary, so I'm going to add them up. X minus 3 plus 36 is going to equal 90. Now it's just using your algebra skills. That's x plus 33 equals 90. Subtract 33 from both sides, and x equals 57. All right. Sometimes you're asked not only to find x, but sometimes you're asked to find the measure of a certain angle. So here they're asking for the measure of angle ABD, and I'm going to trace that A to B to D. So they're only asking for this little wedge of it. But I do start off noticing immediately that it is a 90 degrees. So once again, I am complementary. I know complementary angles equal 90. So I'll add these two parts together. I'll do my like terms. Subtract the 7. And divide by 3. And I get this lovely, wonderful decimal. Now, that's perfectly fine. I'm not afraid of it. I'm going to leave it as a decimal here. I could easily change that to a fraction. But notice I did not answer the question. The question said find the measure of ABD. Again, that's ABD. So what I'm going to do is I know that the angle ABD is equal to x plus 7. So I'm simply going to take what they've given me here and plug it in to x. So that's going to be 27.6 plus 7, give me a total of 34.6 repeating. Okay, at this point I'd like for you to take just a moment, pause the video here, and I want you to give number 2 and number 4 a try and come back in just a moment and I'll give you those answers. Okay, so I asked you to look at 2 and 4. Here are the answers that I got. Hit pause, take a minute to check your work, and then we'll look at supplementary angles. Okay, as we resume, now we're going to remind ourselves of supplementary angles. Supplementary angles here are two angles that add up to 180. So you can see on this case, the picture makes a straight line. These are often also called a linear pair, So here's two examples for you to look at. Notice here it says solve for x. Again, I notice that I do have a straight line here, so I recognize that together these are equal to 180 degrees together. So as supplementary angles, I'm going to write that down as 2x plus 7 plus 122 has to equal 180 degrees. At that point, combine your like terms. Subtract the 129 and divide by 2. Just like with complementary angles, sometimes people ask you to find the measure of an angle. So in this case, they're asking me to find the measure of GFH right here. So I don't need the whole thing. But I do recognize that together, again, together, these do equal 180 degrees. So I've got my 3x plus 4 plus my 4x plus 1. It's going to equal 180 degrees. As before, I'm going to put my like terms together. That's 7x plus 5 equals 180 degrees. Subtract the 5 and divide by 7, and they get x is 25. But once again, I recognize they're not asking me for x, they're asking me for the measure of GFH. So I'm going to substitute this 25 in for that x. Plug in that x right there. I've got 3 times 25 plus 4 gives me a total of 79. As before, I'm going to give you 2 problems to look at, and then you give that a try. Go ahead and hit pause for a moment. Take a look at number 6 and number 8, and then come back in just a few minutes for the answer. Quick note about number 8. These 2 marks down at the bottom mean that these 2 angles, DBE and EBC, are congruent. So even though this angle wasn't labeled as 2x plus 5, I know that they are both equal to 2x plus 5.